Hello there, it's Silver, and this is a Rune Factory, Guardians of Azuma. So, Rune Factory is a life sim related to Harvest Moon, but it has more of a fantasy focus with things like combat and dungeon crawling being part of the formula. It's a long-running series, starting with a DS game in 2006, which would get an '07 release outside of Japan. Ever since then, it's been a niche but interesting series with lots of handheld titles. The previous game, Rune Factory 5, was somewhat divisive, but with this entry you can feel that they wanted to make up for that with much more content and polish. These games are often very large, with dozens of hours of gameplay to sink into, and this one is no exception. I've always personally really liked this series because it takes the Harvest Moon / Story of Seasons formula and adds in RPG elements in a way that creates a cool fusion that's hard to find anywhere else. Funnily enough, the recently released Fantasy Life I is one of the only other games that does this. I'm no stranger to niche gaming and enjoying things at the edge of people's perceptions, but I still enjoy it when a game like this does well financially because that's really the only way to get more of them. The game looks really nice. It has a few things about its style going for it. Rune Factory games have always gone for a very anime aesthetic since the beginning. It's always been how they've looked. This entry enhances that with a heavy shaded look. It's not quite the same thing as cel shading, but it's in the same sort of genre of styles. It gives the whole game this manga-esque art style that extends into everything, from the NPCs to the enemies and even the crops and buildings. It's very colorful, with certain colors taking focus depending on where you are, but reds and greens are always super vibrant. The various types of corruption you'll be purifying have a darker and more kind of stain-like color to them, with reds, greens, blues, and purples being common sights as you explore. Each of the 4 villages that you go through also has a different look to them. The spring village, for instance, is bright and sunny with pink cherry blossoms on the wind, but the winter village is more muted with cool blues and stony grays dominating your view. The various dungeons and outdoor exploration areas follow this trend, giving them a solid amount of aesthetic variety. You're in a world that's been broken apart, with each area being a floating island. This means each one is allowed to be visually quite different since they aren't physically connected. So as you explore, you'll find that each place you go tends to look quite different. Another thing that helps the art style come together are all the particle effects. Just swinging your weapon creates this cool-looking, almost brushstroke-like sword trail. All of your sacred treasures have these vibrant elemental magic effects that kind of look like ink on a woodblock piece. In fact, everything involving magic and the supernatural looks really cool. The brightest colors in the game are reserved for magical things. Enemies look great as well, but yokai specifically tend to look extra neat because of this. Even your other party members have super flashy effects for their attacks and skills. Basically, the particle effects in this game have a fantastic, cohesive look that makes them feel powerful. Sound-wise, there's some interesting stuff going on here. The exploration and battle soundscapes are busy, with lots of whooshing and impacts that match the visual effects. But there's also plenty of voice acting from your party, including lots of dialogue exclusive to having a certain combination of characters at the same time, which gives some extra variety while exploring and is just kind of fun to experiment with to see who will talk to each other. But it's not this part of the sound that really gets the attention, even though it's perfectly fine. It's the music. The music is really solid, and there's quite a bit of it to go through. The bass of the music uses traditional Japanese instruments, giving it a kind of historical vibe. But mixed in with that are these subtle electronic elements. You may have a simple song that starts with some ambience and a single instrument evolve into having an electronic bass line and a bit of a pulse that wasn't there when it started. Each village theme tends to work like this, starting with the traditional instrument bass and then evolving into having a synth body. The dungeons get a more busy and electronic-heavy version of this, and combat music in general tends to follow that formula. So the audio-visual presentation of the game as a whole is really solid, with lots of moving parts that make it look and sound nice. I'd say this aspect is a huge step up from the previous game. Guardians of Azuma is far more confident in how it presents itself. All this means it just feels like a more coherent game in general, and it comes together to create pretty memorable presentation. This feels kinda like what the previous game wanted to look and sound like, but it didn't quite get there, so the step up is appreciated. As with the other games in this series, gameplay is split between farming and adventuring, although you have some extra tools for each of those things to change how they work. First off, the farming bit. It'll start off simple enough. You get a magical hoe thingy and can use it to place down fields for growing stuff. Then slam some seeds into the ground to water them. After a few days, vegetables will suddenly exist and you can harvest them, which happens in groups rather than in single plants, except for giant crops, by the way. You can then use the veggies in cooking or plop them into the shed for selling. Doing this will also net you more seeds to plant and continue the cycle. However, where it starts to change is that every village has a number of people that can help you out. Villagers can automatically plant seeds in your storage, as well as water them every day, and even harvest them and automatically ship them for cash. You see, you can build a lot of different things in these designated developable plots of land in each village. Just go to a carpenter and spend some money, stone, and lumber, and you can make all sorts of buildings. Then go to a plot and whip out your magic hoe and place the buildings down wherever you'd like. You'll need houses at first, each one having a certain capacity of villagers that it can hold. This allows you to grow your population over time. Then maybe some production buildings for certain villagers to work at, like a blacksmith. And then maybe some market stalls to bring in extra cash, because every villager you have increases the daily cost of operation. Soon, you'll have a whole empire with each village specialized towards certain ends, constantly generating products and money for you. Each village also has a level. As you complete various tasks, grow the village, and pass challenges like growing certain numbers of a particular crop or having a certain decoration rating, you can fill the bar up and go to that village's god to upgrade it to the next level. Leveling a village will increase the maximum amount of villagers and decorations it can hold, as well as giving you blueprints for new stuff to build. You can also make things a bit more advanced for yourself by doing things like creating waterways so you can grow rice and place mills. You can also do some other things with the space, like build barns. Then using your magic branch, you can capture enemies and put them in the barns, where villagers will harvest various enemy-specific products from them every day. There's also loads of story-important characters you can build relationships with. As you meet new people, they'll start to hang around the villages in various spots, allowing you to spend time with them and give them gifts. Each character has a bond level that starts at 0 and will increase as you interact with them. Once a day, you can choose to hang out with them, and there are lots of different activities you can draw, and different characters will like different ones more. You can also give them a gift instead if you happen to know some things that they love. You can even choose to marry someone if you'd like, and can get their bond way up there. All of the social stuff extends to the gods you meet, by the way, including marriage. Once you get any character's bond to level 1, you can put them in your party while out adventuring, and you can have a party of up to 6 people with 3 active at a time. You'll likely want the help, especially in higher level boss fights, which can have pretty large health pools. Combat is a big part of what you're doing as well. It's a pretty fun combat system. You have a primary and secondary weapon slot, and there are several weapon types, like longswords, greatswords, dual swords, bows, and magic talismans. Each primary weapon has an attack combo as well as an extended combo and ultimate that can be unlocked, plus a powerful charged attack. You have a dodge dash that's pretty useful, and perfect dodges give you a time slow effect. You've also got the various divine treasures that you'll be gathering along the way. These all have multiple uses, but always have a combat application as one of them. Each one has a dance that acts as an attack, doing an elemental damage type, but also taking some of your stamina or RP to use. Enemies can be weak and resistant to different damage types, so it's always worth finding what treasure will make the big orange damage numbers appear, especially on bosses. They're very powerful as weapons, so you'll want to mix them into your combos often, considering they tend to outdamage even higher level weapons. As for what else they can do, one important thing is clearing corruption. There are various different colors of corruption that'll block your way, and each treasure can get rid of specific ones, giving the exploration an almost Metroidvania-like element. They also have some other functions, like the water parasol allowing you to glide, or the wind fan giving you a special faster sprint while it's equipped. Some can also be used for the farming portion of the game. The parasol waters lots of squares at once, and the fan harvests stuff in a wide area. The flaming sword will also harvest, but it turns the product into seeds that are of a higher level than the crops they came from. You can also learn a few more powerful dances for each treasure, one of them giving you a damaging elemental aura, and the other one acting as a super strong burst damage attack. These take their own resource called Spirit that you mostly gain from using them in combat. You have a super quick radial that allows you to switch between them whenever you need, so you're kind of encouraged to mix them around and find weaknesses. Each village has a large open area outside of it, acting as a big outdoor exploration map. These have all sorts of collectibles to find, like frog statues and shrines that give you new blueprints, plenty of corruption to purify, items to harvest, many enemy types that often drop specific materials, and plenty more stuff to come across. But they also have entrances to dungeons, more involved combat areas with bosses at the end. You can also hop on your dragon friend to sail around the skies. There are plenty of islands up here to find, some with optional content and quest lines, and some that will become entrances to new dungeons as the story advances. It's a place to just wander around in whenever, as there's quite a bit to discover, but there are several moments in the story that'll bring you here as well. It has a little bit of that Wind Waker vibe, which is always welcome. But then, before it hits midnight, you'll want to land in a village, put your excess items in storage, and take a nap. You'll get a summary of each village's growth, as well as profits and expenses. Then you'll have a tally of experience for various things. Walking, fighting, fishing, and more will give you all-purpose experience. You have lots of different skill trees, one for each weapon type, one for each treasure, and several for life skills like cooking, socializing, and alchemy. Just by doing those things, you'll gain experience in them, but can also spend this all-purpose XP in any tree you want. The trees have quite a lot of stuff to spec into, like new combos and attacks, stat increases, modifiers to elemental damage. You can also use them for things like unlocking entirely new social activities to try, or unlocking new potion recipes to alchemy up. In between all of this, there's a story to follow about a character with amnesia who has a knack for working with the gods, bringing those gods back to the land, and undoing a withering and corrupting being caused by your mysterious counterpart. There's a good bit of mystery to solve in the main questline, which I always like, but it won't knock your socks off with originality or anything. I think the story serves its purpose as the skeleton, the structure that all of the other mechanics hang from to give them the body they need to stick around. Overall, I had a real blast with Rune Factory, as I often do. This one is doing enough different to make it stand out, and it basically becomes the first majorly successful non-handheld entry as far as I'm aware. It's got a lot of staying power with its content and a good grasp on how to make it feel like a meaningful adventure. Gathering your party of characters and monsters and exploring the skies is a lot of fun, all of it being helped by a lovely art style and some great music. I'll put the link in the description below to the Steam page for Guardians of Azuma so you can check it out. The game is also available on the Switch and Switch 2, but the PC port is solid and has all the options you'd expect. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.